Today we're talking with Russ, and this will be in English. So, in honor of our guests, also the intro and the conclusions will be in English. So, you can make fun of my English. This is not my first language, and I'm not native. So, of course, it's going to be weird. Russ is one of the most special entrepreneurs that I've met, and one that has like a double life, like a superhero type of life. On the daytime, for so long, for over 35 years, he was, because he's retired now, he was a professor, an academic professor, with a lot of certificates and a lot of adulation from his students. And in the nighttime, there was an entrepreneur side of him that he put now, after the retirement started for him, he put that into his main and into his focus. So the product is a very interesting one, and I've had an honor also to work on the project itself. So hope you will enjoy it.
Hey Russ, how are you?
Hey, I'm very good from halfway around the world
Thank you for taking the time. I know it's morning with you. Where are you exactly?
in Chicago area in the United States.
Oh, is it fun there nowadays?
It is the same as most places in the world. We would like to high five and hug and go to dinner, and we can't. We can only wave. So, with this COVID event, I think we're all waiting and hoping that we can survive this, get through it, and go back to some
Yeah.
normal where we can go have dinner, a glass of wine, and high five and hug.
And
I think
sushis,
everybody's looking
please,
forward to that.
please
Yeah.
don't forget about sushi.
Yes, absolutely.
So we've known each other for a very long time, and I'm not trying to count it down because it makes me old, and I hate it. And it's not that I'm the oldest in the guy. You're the senior, and you're the eldest, and you're the wisest. But at the
It's
same
all good.
time, we I know that, and I've always respected and honored our collaboration and the fact that you have so much experience in your field. And one thing that always not surprised me, amazed me was the fact that you for the past 35 years you accomplished to combine the two worlds, the academic world and the entrepreneurial world. How did you get into this business? And please explain people what is your business, what is your main focus nowadays, and always has been, I mean, in fact.
I'll start with a brief piece of history. My doctorate is in educational psychology. So I studied for my doctorate in psychology uh, how people learn and how people are motivated, how people stay motivated.
Yeah.
And early on, uh, we trained rats, we motivated rats to turn right or turn left in a maze. We trained some rats to climb a small ladder
Yeah.
and go onto a platform, use a string to hoist the ladder up to
Yeah.
them, go up on a third level of a platform, all to get a little treat, a little piece of cereal. And we did all of those things inside of a class period. And so we motivated rats by through their stomach, through their
Right.
food. They were a little bit hungry, and we showed them how to get food. They had to do some things that were ordinarily not rat-like in order to do that. Um, and then I trained, showed my students how to do this in psychology classes, and they could do those things inside of a class period, which amazed the students. Then we studied human motivation, and a good colleague who is now deceased, John Geyer from the University of Minnesota, uh, helped us realize that when we study motivation and learning, that you cannot motivate people.
Not even with incentives like the sushi, I don't know, the sashimi or something like that.
We enjoy something for sushi, but what that what that is there's a punchline. You can't motivate people, but you can create an environment in which people motivate themselves.
So why are we at this point? This is like a mini revelation for everybody that's listening and has always believed that you can motivate a person to do everything just by not necessarily treating as a rat, but if with the right tools you can make people do things. And now you're talking about that there is no a gimmick, there is no cereal, there is no sushi bar, there is nothing that can accomplish that, but there is something called the environment. So how do you control that? How can I influence that as anything, as a person that sells things to other, or people, or me working with other people and trying to convince them to, I don't know, to give their best into my workplace or something like that. So
Let's start with your example on selling, and then move it to the broader scope of motivation.
correct.
The people listening to this program have a product or a service that they want to sell. What I
Sure.
want to emphasize to them is that they can go through that selling presentation, but they're not going to make people buy
Yeah.
their product. The audience, the people they're presenting to, develop their own reasons for buying, and there is an intrinsic inside internal motivator that says for that person, yes, yes, I want to buy this product, I want to buy this service, and when can you start, when can you deliver, and let's do business.
Correct.
So people buy things for their reasons, not for the reasons of the salesperson. So the people listening to the broadcast may have a list of 5 things or 6 things, that these are the 5 reasons, these are the 6, 7, these are the 10 reasons why, Dragos, you need to buy this soap or this product or this software or this app.
Correct.
And if they give you 10 reasons, it might be the 11th reason, your reason, that says, yes, I now have a use for this app or for this soap or for this product. So regardless of how many reasons we can invent for any product, it has to be an internal motivator for each individual. People are motivated by a whole bunch of different things. Buy my app and I'll give you a coupon for sushi.
Correct.
Okay, well, that's going to get my attention because I like
You're right.
sushi. Someone else says, no, I don't eat raw fish. I don't care about the sushi. They care about maybe something else. So when we learn what motivates someone internally, intrinsically, we can do a lot in positioning messages
You're
for
right.
those people where they listen, they stay in their own home comfort zone, they listen to what we have to say, and they act on it.
Okay, is there a method, and then we will go to the other sets of the motivational inside a team. Can you give me an, is it possible for me to pinpoint exactly what triggers, what is the reason that could trigger one person, or is like a shot in the dark and is like a uh, fail and trail? How do you call that? The
You
one
know,
I have to test every message and all the reason for what each person individually, and that feels like there's no way for me to get it right, because if I have to talk with every client and assign every client a proposition, a selling proposition, then I'm basically I'm in a shithole.
well, that is in part what a lot of advertising is in broadcasting
Mm-hmm.
a variety of messages. And I am
Is there a
old
better
enough
way?
to, well, there are a variety of ways. I'm old enough to remember time before internet. I had a television program in Chicago that was before internet, that was broadcasting. During the 80s, during the late 70s, in Romania, there was broadcasting. Broadcasting meant a signal goes out to everybody, and there were a couple of TV stations, 4, 5,
You're right.
6, 7. This video stream is narrowcasting, not
Okay.
broadcasting. It is narrowcasting to a niche of people, to a section of people who want to hear Dragos' message and want to
And
hear,
Russ.
and perhaps my message as well. And this narrowcasting is like a laser beam instead of a shotgun.
Correct.
So the more we're able to take a laser beam approach, the more we're able to attract that ideal customer. Now, many of the people listening are certainly doing a broadcast method. They'll put it out on their website, maybe on video stream, maybe print advertisements elsewhere. Here are 9, 10, 12 reasons, hoping that someone is going to be attracted to it. And many times there's going to be one or two things on that message that people say, yes, yes, tell me more.
You're right.
Here's my phone. Here's my email. Send me information. I want to buy from you. I want to explore some of this. So
Mhm.
the the new methods of internet marketing can allow a narrowcasting to a specific audience.
You're right.
And Seth Godin and other geniuses far smarter than me call it a tribe. We have tribes of people that are interested in one thing or something else, and those people may share some common interests. They may share some common motivators. And what what I've looked at in the area of assessments is this: in 35 years of writing long form assessments that are based on motivators, also behavioral style and work environment kinds of things. The long form motivation, the long form assessment package might take 30 minutes, 45 minutes to complete.
Can we make a short note about assessments? Assessments are basically a set of questions, like a survey, like a question that try to figure out who the responder is. It's like a. I know you hate the psychological tests uh, tagline, but basically it's kind of trying to assess the person. That's the tool that you're using to know me best from the psychological point of view, from a point of view, from a model point of view.
Yes,
And
and
I
I don't mind. Yeah, correct. A set of questions that helps determine some things psychologically about the person. I'm not shy about using that term. Many
and
assessments.
by
Go
the
ahead.
way, because we're on the matter, I know you're promoting and you're being a huge ambassador of the disc model. In Romania, we have the Meyer-Briggs has breakthrough. I mean, I don't think in Romania I've ever heard someone, even in psychology, in the psychology academic area, talking about disc. Can you tell us why disc is better than Myers-Briggs? And I know it's subjectively, but I know also that I'm using my side information, the fact that I've known you for so long, and I know you dig in much of this. Otherwise, you wouldn't have used it for the past 35 years. So why one is better, and why is better? Why is this better?
I'm a fan of Albert Einstein, and
Hmm.
Einstein said everything should be reduced to its simplest form and no simpler.
Correct.
And this was coming from one of the world's brightest people ever. Everything should be reduced to its simplest form and no simpler. In a simple form, the Myers Briggs measures ways of thinking.
Correct.
How are we thinking? Are we judging? Are we intuiting? Are we sensing? Are we feeling? And Myers Briggs will tell us how people think and what their thinking style is. DISC takes a look at behavioral style, observable behavior. So, is one better than the other? DISC is sometimes used in pre-hire selection, the
Hmm.
long form. I used to do a lot of pre-hire selection. The field is crowded, and there are some very good vendors, and that's fine. I've kind of taken a sidestep from that model. But let's go back to the difference. Myers-Briggs ways of thinking. DISC observable ways of doing. How do they do what they do? When I first sold Disk to a sales manager for a very large software company in the US, this is late 1970s. The software sales manager, VP, said, Watson, I don't need Disk. Never heard of it. I use Myers-Briggs. All of our guys use Myers-Briggs. That's it, damn it. We're not using anything else. And I said, well, I asked him one question. And I said, well, what's most important to you in knowing about your salespeople? Would you prefer to know what they're thinking about when they're making the sales presentation for your products? Or are you more interested in how they are presenting your message and what they're doing in that sales presentation?
Correct.
I thought for a moment and said, I want to know what they're doing. I said, okay, Disk will show you their doing pattern, how they do what they do. Are they decisive or are they deliberate? That's the D end. Are they interactive or are they introspective as they present? Who do you want? Well, I want somebody who's decisive. I want somebody who's interactive. So, okay. Are they steady and
yes,
in what they do, steady, or are they spontaneous? Can they think on their feet? Can they switch a 180 and answer one question and answer another question and answer another question, all very quickly, spontaneously? He said, I want someone who's spontaneous. And I said, do you want someone who is cautious to see, or do you want someone who's challenging of the rules and regulations? And he said, well, I want someone who's a little bit in the middle. I don't want them to be overly cautious. I don't want them to be overly challenging, maybe in the middle. I said, okay. Disk can describe for you and give you a chart on exactly what you said you wanted. Myers-Briggs will not. Myers-Briggs will tell you that the person internally was judging or feeling or intuiting. Myers-Briggs on the introversion extroversion scale will show they're outgoing or they are more reflective, introverted or extroverted. So that's an observable behavior. All of the other letters in Myers-Briggs are thinking styles. So I explained that to the VP of sales very quickly, and he was a very decisive guy anyway. He's okay, damn it, show me some Disk stuff. So okay, we tested the sales team, and he had 15, 20 salespeople. And I went back the next week, and I dealt them out, just one page on each one. And I said, these three are probably your top performing people, and these three are probably your lower performing people, and everybody else, the other four people, are somewhere in the middle. He looked at him, damn it, you're right. How'd you do this? And I said, well, your top performing salespeople think quickly on their feet. They're decisive. They handle objections with poise and with confidence, and they're engaging with other people as they present. And your lower performers are hesitant. They don't have a high sense of urgency. If somebody throws them a tough objection, they fold. They can't answer the objection. They walk away. He said, that's exactly what they do. So
okay.
That was the beginning of a career with Disk.
So at this point, you are all your work is around Disk, and you made some add-ons. I mean, at this point, you should have done it because you've been working for 35 years, and from what I know, you're not the type of guy to sit and accept the status quo of one concept. So what is Disk in your products? And we will discuss about what you're doing nowadays. Now you left the academic part aside, and you're happily retired because it was high time in terms of you doing things in that part, and now you're handling everything on your own. So you're basically now a full-time entrepreneur, and you have a hugely interesting product that I immediately we're gonna talk about it. But how did this type of framework, this disc, helped you, and how did you evolve it?
The, it evolved in this way. I learned quickly that there is more than just disk,
Correct.
in the sense of disk is how we do what we do. I call that essentially our head. How do we go about presenting? How do we go about buying? And one comment there: most salespeople sell the way they like to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Most salespeople sell the way they like to buy. Especially think about a a large ticket, a large price tag
Mm-hmm.
item, automobile,
Yeah.
new automobile, a new expensive appliance. The decisive salesperson goes to the automobile uh, dealer and says, I see a red one on the lot. I want the red one, and this is what I'm going to pay you for it. And take it or leave it, and they're decisive. And that's many times the way that person sells. Dragos, I have something for you. I think you need to buy it. Here's how much it's going to cost. When do you want it? Well, wait a minute. You haven't even presented any features, any benefits. You need it. And
Right.
so salespeople sell the way they like to buy. Other salespeople, when they're buying a car, they look at the research, they look at the mileage, how the kilometers per liter, and the all of the research, all of the bits and bytes and the bolts and nuts behind the vehicle. How long is it going to last? Is it going to rust? What do other people say? They research online. What are other people? And that's many times the way they sell.
Yeah.
I'll sell you this, Mr. Alexa, but first of all, I have to tell you everything I know about the product. So you'll have to sign up for this course
Yeah.
in my product, and we'll meet for the next 3 or 4 weeks for an hour over wine and sushi, and I'll tell you everything I know about the product. And then at the end of the course, of course, you'll have to buy
Of
because
course.
you'll know everything that I know. And somewhere in between those extremes, we have ways by which salespeople learn, really trial and error
Mm-hmm.
on their own, that they need to adjust. So for some people, they need to go a little bit faster. For some people, they need to go a little bit slower. For others, they need to supply some data. For other people, they present the big picture. So
Correct.
the more salespeople can understand that, the more successfully they can position their message in the way by which people want to hear that message.
Okay.
So that we take a look at DISC, the behavioral style, and then ask the question, what's underneath that behavioral style? What motivates it? And that took us into the study of motivation and values. The behavioral style of any person is driven and initiated by their values.
Correct.
Our values drive and initiate our behavioral style. So if someone is very decisive, the question is, well, what drives that decisiveness? Is it money? Is it knowledge? Is it wanting to help others? Is
Correct.
it any number of 5, 6, 7 different motivators? And it's not always money. It
Correct.
can be a lot of other things. So when we find that some people are motivated by helping others, then we can position the message that says, by using this product, whatever it is, with your team, you are helping each member of your team grow and develop and become the best people they can be.
Okay.
So we're hitting that not from a money standpoint, but from a helping standpoint. If you
Correct.
sincerely want to help the people that report to you, if you want to help them grow as a professional and be better at what they do, this can help you do it.
Correct. So are we so are these, because now you have three layers. I love your head, heart, and hand analogy, and I think is that an innovation from your side? Did you make up this part of the disc adjustments, or they were already in the disc? So how can I read the head, heart, and hand philosophy, value proposition that you're putting now with your product?
Yeah, yeah. That is something that I developed. It is not a part of DISC, and I call DISC the head portion. The
Yeah,
motivators is the heart. What's our heart, our
yeah,
passion, um, and the motivators then are what drive the behaviors. That the hand portion is the external environment around us. And the external environment, the social environment or the work environment, is when that is in place for each person in the appropriate way, people will come to work, come to their job role, and do their very, very best work because they want to.
correct.
And I
So
want to back that up
yeah,
by one story before your question, if it's okay.
yeah, please.
All of us have had a job that was our favorite job, that you got up in the morning and you were eager, you woke up eager to go to work because you enjoyed something about it. Maybe you enjoyed a lot of things about it. You enjoyed the interaction, you enjoyed the other people that you worked with. Maybe it was a team effort, maybe it was individual, but whatever was in that environment, you said, I got to get there, and because I like doing it. Conversely, we have all probably had a job that we dreaded going to.
Correct.
We were good at it. We were good at what we did, but nobody noticed. We were
Hmm.
motivated to do a good job, but nobody noticed when we did a good job. Team members didn't help each other. We may have gone into a store, whether that's in Chicago or Bucharest or Cluj County, and asked an employee about a product in a hardware store. And
Hmm.
the employee said, "Oh, that's not my aisle. That's not my job." They turn and walk away. That employee isn't motivated to help you. They're motivated to find out when they clock out and leave the
You're right.
job. But another employee would say, "Oh, Mr. Alexa, that's not in my aisle, but I know someone who works over in that aisle in the store. Let me take you to that person, and they'll help you find exactly what you're looking for."
Hmm.
That's called discretionary effort. Discretionary effort is my choice. I like being here. I like having customers come in. I like working with customers. I like the fact, Dragos, that you came into my store. I'm sorry I can't help you, but I will find someone who will. That's an engaged, focused, showed up employee who enjoys what they're doing.
And that's the definition of good business, in fact.
It's the
As many.
definition of good business. Exactly.
So your product at this point, and let's get into the what you're doing as an entrepreneur. What you've developed is a tool on the business to business side. It's called Mindset Data that helps people get motivated. And you're doing this, and on the retail side, we're talking about Brainergy that helps everyone. You've defined, I mean, you've oversimplified the whole process, and people now can get motivated by a software that you've developed in terms of, it's not, I would sometimes I'm trying to refer to it as an AI, but basically is good work and good copywriting on your side in trying to identify each people state of mind or profile. Let's call it like that. So how, from what I understand, this is the first product as in the a new category, which is called, you call it motivation as a service. And what you're doing, what you're offering to people and companies is the way that you can get to that state of mind in which you are aligned, either in the workplace, either in your life itself, the what you're doing day by day. And you're providing how do you call it, shots in the arms and espresso shots. Your tools, your product is a way for to send short messages, which are called micro motivators, to people that have done your short assessment, your short survey. In fact, it's not even an assessment. And what are they getting? Is that what you're selling? Did I screw it up?
No, that's absolutely right. I don't call it an assessment because an assessment is a long form, and long forms are fine. They're more granular. They can be
Mm-hmm.
used in hiring and selection. I don't recommend mindset data or brain energy to be used in hiring or selection,
Correct.
but it is offered for everyone, not just new hires, but it's offered for everyone in an organization, whether it's a startup or whether it's a large corporation, from C-level
Correct.
down to the first day intern that might be working in the company. And the head, hand, heart is like three satellites that guide an automobile. Your GPS will work
Mm-hmm.
on your mobile or on resident on your car, on your automobile. Your GPS only works when when it connects with three satellites. It has to triangulate in three-dimensional
Correct.
space. So the head, hand, and heart are the three satellites inside of the Brainergy compass, inside of the mindset data compass. The micromotivators are, yes, like an espresso shot in the arm without a needle, delivered to an email or to a text message
Yeah.
as a reminder. And they come in three flavors. One flavor is a strength. You are very, very good at this, at talking with people that you have just met. You make them feel warm and comfortable. Be sure to leverage that as you go forward this week. Have a good week, your team at Brainergy or Mindset. Uh, a reminder of what we are good at. And there's nothing wrong with being reminded of things that
You're not good at.
maybe we we maybe forgot that we were good at something, and oh yeah,
Oh.
yeah, I am pretty good at that, and it's a reminder. And another flavor is something to keep in mind, and I don't call it a weakness, but keep in mind, if you are an outgoing talkative person, that you might not listen as carefully as you need to other people. We're just saying, as a reminder, be sure you're listening before you
Mm-hmm.
jump in and say something next to the people you're talking with. So a strength, also something to keep in mind, to polish a little bit. And then third, a motivational message so that when the street is grinding you down and when other people are grinding you down, here is something that you can use just as a message to stay motivated, stay focused, stay showed up, stay on point, and continue with your job role, your social role, your career. It
Okay.
is a survey, not an assessment. And rather than taking my long form assessments, which could maybe take 30 or 45 minutes to complete, uh, this one can be completed if you are somewhat indecisive. It can be completed in 2 minutes. If you are a little bit more decisive, you can complete it in 90 seconds.
Of course. But worth to mention the fact that you've studied the differences between the two type of the assessment, the long format and your short survey. And from what I remember, you have a 96% accuracy between the two. So it's not that you're lowering the value because you lowered the time of the survey itself. You're just putting the questions straightforward and hope for the sincerity of the person that's taking it. And I love at some point in our discussion you called it a no bullshit version. Tell us the truth, tell it as it is, and that's you've proven by research and comparing the two together, apples with apples, that the fact that they're providing almost the same type of profiling. So the user comes, installs Brainergy, for example. Let's talk about Brainergy because Brainergy will have also Romanian version. And thank you for sponsoring that out in terms of hold the to put the research available also for our little experiment in Romania. The user comes in, installs Brainergy on their iOS, iPhones, and Androids or whatever, and then they do the 2 minutes survey, which is 16 questions. No,
Hmm.
and
Correct.
then they start receiving Monday, Wednesday, and Friday a micro motivator by in whatever channels they're choosing, the in-app message, text message, or email, and is like a 250 to 300 tweet character type of thing in which they will read things aligned perfectly to themselves. I mean, when I'm saying perfectly, I may be overselling it because I freaked out first time I did it, because I'm still freaking out because it covers a long term. I've been doing my first assessment was sometimes
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
the last one is almost 7 months old, and I still get that little kick. It's not that I'm surprised because you get used with the accuracy of the things that talk to me specifically, and but it's still like, oh my god, this software knows knows me better than I do in some cases, which is again weird and maybe an overstatement from my side because I've worked with you for so long. But I think people will be surprised. And what are you telling them? How do you do the magic? What's the secret sauce in terms of you aligning so well this espresso shots of motivation so that they speak so well with, is the profiling, it's all in the profiling, it's all in the copywriting. Why did you do so magically, and why didn't anyone else did it so far?
Other people it didn't do it because they are satisfied with what they have. They're making money from what they have, and they're helping people. And I was doing the same kind of thing, but a wonderful mentor in the seniors housing arena in the United States, who just passed away last year. His name was
Mm-hmm.
Tony Mullen. He had pushed me and challenged me to say, Watson, can you take this 30-minute uh, set of assessments and
Mm-hmm.
reduce it to 10 minutes, 15 minutes? And I did. And we got good results. The 15-minute version matched the 30-minute version. And he said, this is good. But he said, seniors housing people and a lot of salespeople, a lot of people today don't have a lot of time. Can you make it shorter? Well, we made it about 10 minutes. And he says, hey, this is really good. Can you make it shorter? So I said, all right, you know what? I'm going to try to make it as brief, as simple as absolutely possible. All of the other assessments, if we're going to find out if someone is decisive or deliberate, will ask a series of questions 20 or 30 times with a lot of different words. They'll load all of those words together and they'll get a score of decisive or deliberate, and it will graph out in some way. I simply ask the person, are you decisive or deliberate? They make a choice, and each one of the words is defined a little bit.
Correct.
Done. So that just saved 30 choices.
You're
Are
right.
you outgoing, or are you a little bit more uh, reflective and not so outgoing? They choose one, done, and that just saved a bunch of other questions. The whole success of any assessment, mine included, is dependent upon the level of personal insight that someone has about themselves, the
Correct.
level of personal integrity that they have, and the avoidance of what psychologists call malingering, which other people on the street call bullshitting
Okay.
or faking. So
You're right.
this is not used for hiring, so you don't have to impress anybody. This is for you. If someone
Correct.
is honest, they will get, as you got because you answered honestly, some surprising information from a 2-minute survey. There are 2,376 different response patterns to the 14 questions.
Yeah.
2,376 different combinations of responses. So the secret sauce behind the computer is taking a look at those specific combinations of responses and forming a text file message that
Right.
will allow a set of text file messages in the library to be titrated out 3 times a week to each person.
So
Why
the
do we?
secret is in fact the user not being true to themselves. That's the secret. Because and of course the fine tuning of the mechanisms to deliver exactly what they need to hear. But so that's interesting. I never thought about it that way. Hmm.
And again, it's dependent on their own honesty, their own integrity. Of course, if they want to
Mhm.
use it for their own personal development and their own personal motivation,
Mhm.
they may have the job that we talked about earlier that they dreaded going to. Oh, gee, I got to go to work. I don't like working. I'm so glad when I get off work. Well, the micro motivator can give them an espresso shot in the arm about lunchtime that says, you know, you are really good at working with people. And if your manager hasn't told you that, and if no one else has told you that, we're telling you that. You know, you are really good at handling follow through and data and making sure that all the ends are tied and all of the strings are knotted together appropriately. You're really good at that. Maybe your manager didn't notice that, but we noticed.
Yeah.
We noticed, and we wish you well. And that is the message behind Brainergy and Micromotivator. It's not micromanaging; it's micromotivating. There's a big
Correct.
difference.
Exactly. We have to wrap up because the TV makes us a bit more
Yes,
condensed
yes.
in terms of time. But I want to wrap up the this interview and again thank you for your time. I want to wrap up with besides I'm going to do a conclusion regarding the fact that the Brainergy, the Romanian version and the United States version will be launched at the same time, maybe 1st of June if we get lucky and Apple
Mhm.
approves the thing. There is a 21-day trial that everybody that wants to and is curious enough to test it out, there will be links somewhere in the show that you could get access to Dr. Russ super cool motivation tool. But the final conclusion, let's air quote it like that. What do you hope the product itself will do for an individual at the individual level? How will it change their life? What do you hope for it? And what does a constant micro motivating system that you provide will do for a person? What would
Motiv-
the transformation be? I mean, in that part.
Transformation is this that motivation works when we're thinking about it, when we're feeling it, and when we act on it. And a lot of times on the job, even if it's a job we like, we're not always reminded of the things we're very good at. And especially on a job we don't like, we're not reminded very much of the things we're good at by a manager who may not even notice what we're doing
Mm-hmm.
correctly. So, where I think it makes a transformative change is that this is a reminder to people of the strengths that they have. It is a motivator to people to stay focused, stay engaged, stay on point, stay showed up for what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and to be the best version of themselves that they can be without going through a long version report. And
Correct.
I guess the bottom line is something we maybe this is conclusion. Maybe we should have mentioned it earlier. The reason I don't use long version reports anymore is because people don't read the long version reports. So
Correct.
rather, if I give you, I could give you 20 pages on yourself. I know you're busy, Dragos. You're not going to read it, but I
Nope.
can give you
I'm sorry.
2 sentences a day 3 days a week, 2 or 3 sentences. You'll read those because they're about you and they're about how you can be the best version of yourself for other people around you. And
That's perfect.
I think that can help every person, help every other person around them be the best version of themselves that they can be.
Thank you. As a reminder, you took almost 10 years to build this up, so it's not like a just woke up in one morning and you had it in your mind.
Right.
And you invested a lot of money into it, and I hope the best. I hope it proves not necessarily financially gain, but recognition, because from what I've seen so far in terms of my micro motivating, I think a lot of people will be surprised and will be, let's say, not touched, but they will have a benefit if they are paying attention. As you said, I love that, the fact that motivation, you need to be present with it and try to integrate it into your life and not just really like a horoscope. That's for sure. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck with both Brainergy and Mindset Data, and thank you for taking time to do this interview. Thank you.
Dragos, it has been my honor to be a part of your good program today, and I wish you the very best going forward with your program and with all of the entrepreneurial things that you do, and certainly to everybody in your audience and all of the people that are working for large companies and the ones that are just starting out from the kitchen table. You all bring value to the world, and I wish you the best.
The honor is ours. Thank you very much, Russ. Thank you.
Bless you. Take care.
So I hope you liked it. And one takeaway that I want you to notice is the fact that the product development, in this case, we could easily say it was over 15 years. So it takes so much time, and I want to emphasize the patience and the grit that Russ had in believing in himself and in the product. And I know for a fact from the back end, from the behind scenes part, that it wasn't easy for him to not to believe, but to take it year by year to the next level and evolve the product for the market. And this is it. This is what entrepreneurs do first and foremost. They believe in themselves, and they really fell in love with the product, and they are not letting it down. So 15 years, a lot of hundreds of thousands of dollars spent in development, and I hope it works, and I hope people will enjoy his product as much as I do.